In between work, I get those bursts of creativity. I get ideas, I get philosophies, and sometimes I put that in sketches and doodles. Uh, Recently, it distracts me in a way where I start mentally thinking, oh, I have work to do, but I really want to get this sketch out. But I'm like, okay, let me not distract myself, but the sketch is still there. So what I started doing is like scribbling it down real quick. And then that leads to how I am doing this video right now because in the middle of doing the strategy session for my production company, I then started thinking about executing an idea. I'm like, what will stop me from making this idea work? And I had to ask myself, like, am I feeling ashamed of the process of like this idea that I came up with? Do I feel like it's going to be cringe if I execute it, or it's going to be weird? Or I'm like, this idea can get me closer to my goal. Why do I now feel weird about recording the process and putting it out there? Then that got me to do this sketch. And I was like, shame can hold us back from dreaming, from executing so many things. And I just did this sketch real quick in like 10-20 minutes to get out. That's what I'll use for the thumbnail of this video as well. And then even after I finished the sketch, it was just a random simple sketch about my idea. And I'm like, okay, cool. This is like my depiction of shame holding back someone from dreaming. Like, oh, let me upload this. And I'm like, I can make this look cooler. I can finish up the sketch. I can even, animate it. I could turn. I'm like, yes, I'm overthinking it. This was supposed to be the quick sketch version and something I can share to the world. But the feeling of how can it be perceived if people see this my current depiction of what shame is started holding me back from even fleshing it out fully or sharing it with the world. And it just got me to see how much shame can hold us back from creating the things that we can. Oh. So it had me thinking about creativity in general. Like, what exactly is creativity? And what does creativity mean to the human soul? And from my view and personal experience right now, it's essential that we get to create from an original place, no matter how little that may be. Having an allergic reaction. Yeah. So, what more is your creativity than a unique expression of you? Your creativity is directly tied to your unique experience, your unique perspective. So, the things you create are your own stamp of just exactly who you are. And consequently, how that is directly tied to shame is that your creativity is what makes you stand out. It's your unique type of cringe, it's your unique type of expression, and it always seems rough before it gets refined over time. So, if your creativity means that you're different, why then do we get ashamed? Because the difference is the mark of the creativity. How different it is just how unique your own perception of that thing is. And I'm getting more comfortable with this in rediscovering my own art because it's reinforcing my voice, my style, all those things come out from my different expressions and how I choose to integrate everything that I am into, whatever I'm producing. Um, how I creatively mix the blend, all of that is part of my creativity. And the times when I want it to look like something that's already out there, it means I'm. Was a question worth asking for myself, like, am I ashamed and why? What exactly am I afraid of if I put this sketch out there? What judgment am I afraid of? This is the reality of how I am processing this emotion of shame. So why is it an issue to share it? And in asking those questions for myself, I got to see how it was really just a make believe emotion in my head. Because the process of identifying the emotion, asking questions, and seeing that it had no power in itself got me to do this video to say, oh, let me talk about shame and see if there's anyone out there that also is using it to stifle their creativity, like, and not produce the great things that they're working on. Instead, you give excuses, feel inadequate, and you use your time to consume stuff that other people are creating. So creation, your creative energy, creativity is really you leaning into just how unique you are, accepting your expressions for time and letting those things just flow. Finding creative ways that it can get out. And, and we don't always have all the mediums we think about. We don't have the same leverage, the same tool, the same access with everyone at the same time. But how you use the tools where you are, how you use that phone, how you use the paints that are available to you, how you utilize your current environment is a key part of your creativity. It's why I don't feel like we're at a disadvantage to anyone anywhere in the world creating the same type of things that we want to create. In my case, where I'm creating animation, because the way I utilize the power issues, the talent gap, the art skills that we have to create the animation is part of the creativity of this particular region and the things that I have access to. And it will be the things that add to the flair and the style that we eventually come up with. So, same thing for you wherever you are. Whatever tools you have are adequate for you to execute and get your creative vibe off to the next level. All right, we go. Pro animation. Let's go. Let's go. This whole thing on creativity, holding yourself back, not executing the ideas you think about, and letting it just fade over time. And then somewhere along the line, you just don't do what you think is amazing, right? And eventually, what passes by is time. It made me start thinking about just Africa as a whole and how, as a culture, we kind of do this where we don't really love who we are. With the way the world is developing, there's an element to the shame of being African. A few years ago, it wasn't cool to listen to Afrobeat music. Afrobeat music wasn't cool. A few years ago, it wasn't cool to dress African. Right now, I don't still think it's cool to talk African. The different African languages aren't seen as languages that are are literal, because a lot of in a lot of ways, those languages didn't have room to develop, express themselves creatively, dive into what they thought as a culture was advancement, So a lot of times when we come up with original inventions or ideas from an African perspective, there's a level of shame in the midst of where it is in the world, almost like we have no place or the idea it's just misplaced or it's outdated, which is not true. It's just different. So a few people see me posting more and then they ask, like, how exactly am I doing it? They can tell they want to do stuff, they have stuff they want to say, create, and they ask me for advice how to do it, right? In my own corner, I am constantly unraveling these emotions. I'm checking them through my creative process. I'm naming them and seeing what the source of it is and seeing how I can outgrow it. And for me, it's really important at the core to show what my authentic voice is. So, in the first place, I have to really discover that first. And I am seeing that I can share the process of how I'm doing it. I don't have to wait until I have the voice fully refined or clear. The journey to me is the price, and having the courage to unravel that is what I'm seeing is the victory. And I really think we need that across industries, across cities, countries, um, in regards on how it affects African creativity itself. I don't think it's an African problem. I think the way technology is developing with AI, we're becoming more automated, and more automation means less reflection on yourself and your individuality. So I feel like it's still a human problem, but as a continent, Africa has the most people who are not like really, who really don't have a platform to show their ingenuity. Like in different industries across sectors, there's just so much more Africanness that we could have in the world, which would increase the diversity that we have, increase the richness that we have as a community and like just the whole world. So to me, I feel it's very important that you increasingly get the comfort of your own voice and the things that you want to create, overcome the bias of how it is perceived by people, and just execute. You might not create stuff that people love right off the bat, but once you get more comfortable in yourself, you'll be more comfortable to create things that you're proud of and you can put your name on and you can share. And what happens is that the algorithms are picking up better. They then, send what you have to the people who would like that kind of thing. Not everyone will like your stuff. So just focus on you, overcome each stage of the barriers at every point in time, whatever that looks like for you. It's what I'm doing and making it work. So I have work to do. I just thought about this and did a quick intermission and tried to get a couple of thoughts and shots in there. So thank you for sticking around. If you stay to the end of this video, like, subscribe, and share the video to someone who you think will find it helpful. So yeah, thank you. See you on the next one.